Hey, how are you? Welcome to my somewhat messy room. I suspect many of you, if you are working, will be working from home at the moment, and I'm looking forward to seeing your environments and where you live. So this is my somewhat messy but somewhat chaotic but my study, and this is where I've been busily holed up for the last couple of days, trying to work out how we're going to turn an intensive interactive experience, which is how design thinking was designed to be, into something that's 100% online for you. Now, one of the things that we're going to talk about a lot as I move through is this idea of prototyping. And so let's turn this into a learning experience. I mean, it seems to me that if I'm holding myself out to be a design thinker, that one of the things that I need to be able to do is use design thinking in order to come up with the best way to make this change. So we'll talk a lot about what design thinking is as we get into it. So just bear with me for a moment. Effectively, design thinking is about making sure you're solving the right problem. So rather than me start from the beginning with the problem statement, how am I going to turn this online, face-to-face experience into an online experience? What I'm actually going to do is put you, students, in the center, and I'm going to think about it not from the point of view about how am I going to make this change from A to B, but I'm going to go back and think, well, what was design thinking this class for in the first place? What was the design thinking class designed to do? And what it was designed to do was introduce you to the mindsets and processes that are design thinking. So effectively, that's what my solution needs to do. How might we ensure that you walk away from this course with the skills and the mindset that we're setting out to give you, even though we're not actually going to be in the room together? So I started to think about it in that way, and one of the tools that we'll talk about a lot is, once I've understood the problem myself, is that I'm going to use some different tools to work out what a solution might look like. And prototyping is one of the first of them. Long-winded way of getting there, I know. So what I did was I took the content and I thought about what constraints we have. So the constraints that we have is the number of weeks between now and the end of the semester, and also the assessment tasks that we need to do. So the assessment tasks are really a way for the university to sign off that you have in fact learned the things that you need to do. But because it's design thinking and everything can have more than one purpose, a number of your assessment tasks are in fact formative. In other words, they've been designed to help you, by doing the thing, really understand what it is we're doing. I also thought about it from your point of view. Your lives are possibly, like mine, turned upside down at the moment, right? Basically, you are having to reorganize yourselves in so many ways because of this COVID-19 situation. So it seemed to me that the less changes I could make to your timetable, more certainty I could give you, the more likely you were to feel comfortable. So one of the assumptions that I made is that you wouldn't want any of the assessment dates brought forward, that you wouldn't want to do something sooner, even though that first task that you have to do was originally envisaged to be something that you would do to get ready for the first class. And now our first class has come forward. So I didn't change that. But basically what I did, firstly, prototype, this is a low fidelity prototype that I built to think, is I mapped out how many weeks we had, and I thought about what the topics would look like. And I tried to work out what I can realistically achieve with you in a 1.5 hour webinar every week that'll be supplemented by little videos like this. I will probably go live on YouTube from time to time to have a chat with you. And I'm trying to think about the best way to deliver this in ways that's going to work for you. So as I prototyped it out, I basically started with that first assessment task without changing the date. I then built in the others and thought about what we had to do. It did mean that I end up with a lot of assessment dates pushed back a bit further than they were originally going to be, so they're later so that you've done all of the work that you need to do in order to be able to present those assessment tasks. But it does mean they're a little bit bunched together, which could make you nervous. But it is worth understanding that all of the tasks kind of interrelate. And as you're doing one, you'll be working on the other anyway. So you'll have a group presentation that you'll have to work on. And while you're doing that, you'll be formulating your report. You will then get some feedback on that report and you will finalize the presentation. So they kind of work as a block. You have a final essay that is probably the most comprehensive task that you need to do. But as you're doing everything over the course of the semester, you'll also be gathering what we call artifacts, examples of the work that you did, and reflecting on it. So I don't want you to present the last assignment, the reflection assignment, until the very end. And the reason for that is I want you to be able to reflect on all of the steps. But the trick to doing that one will be not leave it till the last minute. Just as you do each of these steps every week, doing the little reflections, making notes, so you can just collate it at the end and present it. It should be pretty straightforward. So then I looked at the materials that we already had and looked at my plan for the actual classroom and worked out essentially what I think is missing. Now I'm going to have to build those resources one by one as we carry forward. But effectively, I'm hoping that my camera will follow me as I go. If I don't walk too fast, it seems that it does. What I'm going to do, and in fact you won't be able to see it on the screen here, so it doesn't matter. What you will find underneath this video, look down, is I have mapped out a kind of timeline for the next few weeks. In it, I've linked the topics that we're going to cover in Canvas and the reading that I need to do. None of that is different. It's in fact in the same order. It's just flowing through now over the next 8 or 9 weeks as opposed to what you would need to do over the course of the intensive. Secondly, I've put a little a section in there that just is really space for the tools that I'm going to build for you to really replace the demonstrations and the activities that we would have done in the classroom with some online materials. If in that particular week there is also an assessment task, I've popped it in there as well. And I've also made a note of the kinds of things I expect that we'll be covering in the webinar. Now, right now, that's just my plan. It's a prototype. And what I've done is I've built it to think. I've built it as part of my testing what it is that's going to work. Now I'm going to move to the co-creation stage. And even though it's a low fidelity, pretty straightforward prototype, I'm sharing it with you so you can have a look at it and give me feedback. You can say, okay, this makes sense to me. I can see that it's working. Or you could also say, oh, it looks like week blah is going to be way too busy. Or, Kath, did you know that there's a public holiday in Vietnam on blah, blah, blah date? And have you taken that into account? Because the short answer to that is no, I don't know. I live in Australia. If there's things that I need to know that make sense, that's actually helping me help you get the best learning experience. But it's also giving you and me a chance to practice our empathy, to practice what it's like to be a design thinker. So while you've got a second, take a look. It might be easy to just click on the link and go and look at the plan in a different browser because it can get a little bit sort of hard to see what's going on. I think it should be pretty straightforward, but if it's not straightforward, I need to know that as well. That's part of my prototyping experience. So, first of these online activities, let me know how you go. I'm going to put this up as a discussion task so you can make your comments, share your comments down below. But as always, if you would prefer to remain anonymous or to other students, prefer to deal with me directly, please don't hesitate to just send me an email. Hope you're having a great day. Looking forward to hearing your feedback. Cheers.